Hello and welcome back to the Good Business Witch podcast. I'm your host, Megan Winkler, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Today, I am stepping a little more into the spiritual and emotional side of business. The past couple of episodes have been a little more focused on some more concrete, strategic things. And I thought, you know what? We are embracing all parts of ourselves. We are embracing all parts of business. And so that includes also our spiritual side and our emotional side. So today's episode is all about people pleasing. And I was actually inspired to record this episode this week due to a personal circumstance. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And then we're going to kind of go into like what people pleasing is, some of the causes, the consequences, that sort of thing. Like, I think we all know these things, but I also think there's value in restating them, going over them, because you never know what's going to land for you, like what's going to resonate for you this time. I know that throughout my life and my career that I have heard messages multiple times. Like I've heard the same thing in different voices or at different times. And sometimes it takes 5 or 6 times to hear something and go, oh, wait, yeah, that is me. So while it might be a little bit of a review, my goal for you in this episode is just to feel seen and feel supported and feel loved for the amazing human being you are. So today, what I did is I did what I usually do on Wednesdays, and I took Trudy to daycare, and it is an amazing daycare, and I just love that she's able to go. So I enrolled her in daycare back in, I think, February. We had her for about a month and a half. She was probably 5 or 6 months old. So still like very much a puppy and still very much like learning what it meant to be a dog. She also came from a foster home where 2 of her litter mates were with her, and where there were like 2 or 3 other like foster siblings, right? So like a lot of dogs. She got a lot of attention. There was a lot of socialization. So I was like, wait, I don't want to take her from that to just like our home where it's 3 adults. And I mean, we are wild and wacky, and she gets to go on adventures all the time. But there's certain things that like dogs learn from each other, right? So I enrolled her in daycare to help her learn those doggy lessons, and she learned them quickly and early. She learned that sometimes with an older dog who may be a little grumpy and a little, stiff and crotchety, that you just don't go up into their face because they'll knit back at you. She also learned that she can be rough and she can tumble with her playmates. And she learned that, people aren't scary, and it's fine to go somewhere without mom. At the beginning of the year, our lives were also like really different. I was having a majority of my client calls on Wednesday, and that has tapered off. So it's less of an issue. Like, she's grown up. She's over a year now. So she knows how to entertain herself. She knows how to act like when we're out in public. She is the best patio princess. She loves the attention. She loves the social aspects of it and all that. Anyway, so all of these things, all of these factors have like shifted in our lives, right? And so I dropped her off today and I changed her membership. She had like a weekly membership. I was dropping her off weekly. And I'm just going to switch it so that I can drop her off as like a drop-in. So like if Danny and I go shopping and we're going to be out for most of the day, like I can drop her at daycare. She can have fun. We can go do our thing and we can pick her up on the way home. Stuff like that, right? And if I need to board her, like I'll be able to board her there. So that's really a nice kind of medium. And at the same time, I could tell that the gal that I was talking to this morning was like sad to see us depart from like a weekly thing. And I'm like, I imagine I'm going to bring her in a couple of times a month, but she just doesn't need to be here every week. And she felt sad and I felt sad. And I'm like going home and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've made her so sad. And I realized that it felt kind of like I was like breaking up with them. And I'm not. Like, Trudy's still going to go there and we're still going to go to all the events and throw our support behind him and all that. This is just what works best for our family right now. But like, I literally felt like I was letting her down. And I realized that this is a little piece of my people pleasing vibe, mentality, pattern, whatever you want to call it. I like to say that I am a recovering people pleaser. And a lot of my people pleasing came from the very strict household that I was raised in. I've been very open about, the things that kind of went on. And I was really pressured to be perfect and to not disappoint my parents, namely my mother. And so for me, that people pleasing kind of comes from that desire to belong. And the main causes for people pleasing really do start there. So we are genetically and biologically programmed to want to fit in. Because quite simply, when we were nomadic tribes thousands of years ago, our safety and our health and well-being and our survival was actually based on being accepted into the group and by the group. So we fear rejection because rejection leads to abandonment. And there is still so much of that energy within our psyche that we really want to make sure we're keeping people around us happy so that we don't get rejected, we don't get abandoned, we don't get cast out of that nomadic tribe. Doesn't matter that we're not nomadic tribes anymore in this country. It does not matter that that's not a valid reason any longer. Our bodies and our brains still feel that. I heard recently someone, and I cannot remember who it was. I wish I could remember, but someone said our brains are pretty stupid. Which I was like, wait a minute, this is the exact opposite of what we're taught, right? And he's like, our brains are pretty stupid. Our brains are just programmed to keep us alive. And that's pretty much it. Now, our prefrontal cortex, of course, helps us relate to other people and empathize and kind of grow up, right? And our prefrontal cortex really starts actually forms and gets set in place in our early 20s. So we spend a large part of our younger lives with an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. But even with the PFC, our brains really are just wired to survival, which is great. And also means that they have not adapted. So the smart part of our bodies and the smart part of our beings is really our heart and our gut, because those parts of us resonate with different energies. So when you think about, oh my gosh, like, why do I still have this like worry about being rejected? And so I people please. It's literally our stupid brains. Literally. Another cause for people pleasing is really a lower self-esteem. So when we are not feeling great about ourselves, we look for outside validation. And so to get that outside validation, we seek the pleasure of other people and we want to make them happy. So looking for that external validation that you're all right, everything's good, we're friends, can really lead to that people pleasing. In business, this also looks like external validation from your clients. So you will over deliver, you will over promise, you will stretch yourself too thin to make them happy. And really what you need to remember is that these people have come to you and your business to solve a problem. Even if you are a product-based business like a florist or a candle shop, or you are a bookseller, like you're satisfying some desire, some need, and they're coming to you because they need you. Not really the other way around. Okay. Which I realize is like, what? Wait, Megan, what are you talking about? Like, I need to make money. Yes, of course you do. But people have to come to you sometimes in order to do that. So when I'm working with marketing clients, for instance, I really could like pour my heart and soul into everything. However, that doesn't do them a service or me a service. And if I go along with an idea of theirs that I know is going to flop or is maybe just the wrong direction for their brand, and I just go along with it, I am doing them a disservice. My people pleasing is actually harming them. It's also hard to say no. Like, we feel mean. Like, today I felt like I was disappointing her. I was hurting her feelings. And, I'm not. It's okay. Uh, and still, like, it was hard, right? So, practicing no. If you can practice saying no, in all parts of your life, even just to little things that seem inconsequential, the more you practice it, the better at it you will get. And you will be able to say no and, exercise those boundaries when you need to. So, what if we continue our people pleasing? Well, there's a few consequences, not the least of which is being burnt out. And you know me, I am all about battling burnout and battling overwhelm. To go along with that, we have the emotion of resentment. We have the emotion of shame. And shame is really an interesting emotion as it causes burnout. It causes us to say yes when we mean no. And it causes us to over deliver and to push too hard. You're also going to have strained relationships, right? So if I just acquiesce to all of a client's requests and I am the yes girl for them, I will start getting resentful and it will start straining that relationship. And that stress and strain will filter into my other relationships. So I might snap at my partner or I might snap at my kid, and so you don't want that. You also really lose your sense of self. And I know that so many of us have worked to find who we are and are continuing to work to find who we are, independent of parents, teachers, society, all of that, that you don't want to lose your sense of self now that you have her, right? So let's talk a little bit about how we can overcome that people pleasing. So first one is to exercise some self-awareness. Really just recognize when you are people pleasing. Recognize those patterns you fall into. Recognize the emotions and the beliefs that are tied to that. For instance, you may feel like you may lose a client if you don't just say yes to everything. What does it mean if you lose that client? Really dig into that. And I really suggest that you sit down and you journal. And you ask yourself those questions. Like, if I lose a client, what does that mean? How does that make me feel? What are the stories that are attached to that? Okay. And just kind of bringing more self-awareness into your day-to-day life when it comes to people pleasing. Next one is building your self-esteem. So one of the best ways you can do this is through positive self-talk. One of my favorite phrases, and I have to give credit where credit is due, it is Morgan Moss, who is the owner of Inked Goddess Creations. She has her own podcast. It's called Busy, Witchy, Inked, and Gritty. I'm sorry. Sorry, Morgan. Brain fart. Busy, Witchy, Inked, and Gritty. And she started using the phrase, wouldn't it be awesome if? And she uses this kind of like as her conclusion statement, or wouldn't it be amazing if? So you start shifting like how you're talking to yourself. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, I hope this doesn't happen, or what if this happens? It's like, yeah, what if it's freaking amazing? What if it blows your damn mind how amazing it is? Setting boundaries and self-care are also very important, but it's really these words that we speak to ourselves. So I also want to encourage you to keep a successes journal. So have a little journal like at your desk or carry it in your bag, like whatever it is, and jot down any successes that you have, any way that you have a win. Write down your accomplishments. Write down the compliments people give you. Our brain needs evidence of positivity because our brains, again, they're pretty stupid. They are continually scanning the environment for ways that there are threats in it, for ways that things are wrong. It's looking for negativity. Our brains are looking for negativity because negativity equals a lack of safety, equals a challenge to our survival. Got it? So it actually takes some intentionality to build these positive thoughts in our head and to build this evidence that you are safe, to build this evidence that you are really good at what you do, and to build this evidence that you have succeeded at a whole lot of shit. A whole lot. Communicating effectively is another way to overcome this people pleasing. So communicating early in a client relationship is absolutely essential. Your clients should always know how to get in touch with you, but they should also always know when you're going to respond. So my clients, they can WhatsApp or they can email me or send me a message on Discord at any hour of any day that they want. I am going to respond to those during business hours, Monday through Friday, like 9 to about 4:30, 5 o'clock Central Time. Just how it is. I'm not a brain surgeon. I am not on call. Like it's okay. There's nothing that I work with my clients on that necessitates me being available to them all the time. And that's the thing, is you cannot be available to your clients all the time. It's not sustainable. And when you are available to them all the time, that is an element of people pleasing. So letting them know right at the get-go how to communicate with you and how you will be communicating with them, like time-wise and the modes of communication, right? Also, just like being open and expressing your needs and desires clearly with those who matter with you. So this is clients and people you work with, but it's also your partner, your family, your friends, all that. And then having support of some sort. So therapy, counseling, or coaching. I'm a huge proponent of all of those. I love my therapist. She's amazing. I love my coaches. They help me so much. Support groups, family and friends, communities as well are great ways to connect with people and to seek support. So even a Facebook group can be the difference between kind of living in this people-pleasing mode and living beyond it, which is really cool. So we can get a little bit into some boundaries, and I do just want to encourage you to remember that boundaries are ways that we are modifying our behavior, not the behavior of other people, right? So learning to say no without guilt and without shame. This is hard. This takes practice. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So it becomes easier over time. It is not a quick fix, a quick change. But when you say no, you are telling yourself that you are more important. Your needs are more important than the wants and desires of others. Make sure you're scheduling some me time. I use my Fridays for me time. That includes like catching up on my work, kind of tying up loose ends from the week, but it's also when I will go to the chiropractor or I will take myself shopping, whatever it is. Also, just kind of looking for ways that work for you to help you deal with your stress. So we talked about a lot of them in this episode. So we talked about therapy, counseling, coaching, online groups and communities, maybe even just like if you're into knitting, go hop on Meetup and find a knitting group. Go join a book club that is focused on something that you're really into. Like maybe it's a thrillers book club on Fable. That seems like a completely random suggestion, but I'm actually part of a thriller book club on Fable. So, anyways, finding these communities and finding these people that you can interface with, because we do not exist in a vacuum. We do not exist independent of the things that have come before us or after us, much like wonderful Vice President Kamala Harris has said, you did not just fall out of a coconut tree. You exist in the context of all that's come before you and that comes after you. So I love that quote. It's amazing. She's amazing. Um, so just remember that because of that, because we didn't just fall out of coconut trees, because we don't just exist alone in a vacuum, we need to look to others to help support us. So I hope that this podcast and this episode has helped support you. And remember to please yourself. Remember, when you say no to things that are actual no's, that's saying yes to you. Sending you a big ol' hug, big ol' virtual hug. Before we close out, I want to share with you about the Lunar Business Lab. It is officially open. We have flipped that sign over. We are open for business. You will see a ton of resources already there. It is on Substack, so it's meganwinkler.substack.com. And you can also find it on my homepage, meganwinkler.com. And yeah, come hang out. So if you are a free subscriber, which anyone can join for free, you will have a few free posts throughout the month, namely geared toward affirmations or horoscopes for the new and full moons. If you are a paid subscriber, however, and it is only $10 a month, you actually get access to a beautiful PDF guide that you can download, you can print, whatever you want to do. That includes tarot spreads, horoscopes, journaling questions, all the important dates for the month, including the void of course moons, when your business and decisions and your motivation are just So you get that guide. You also get an exclusive community over on Discord, and you get access to a twice a month podcast that is absolutely private and totally exclusive to my Substack subscribers. So be sure to go over there and find me. You can search my name on Substack, or you can search the Lunar Business Lab. Come jump in and, get to know other people that are just like you. We could all use more productivity, more creativity, and more intuition in our businesses and our lives. And I'm super excited to bring this offering to you. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, my friends, stay magical.